Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's continue our game of The Letter running on Series X. I guess I should say continue. There we go. I try to shake it off, but the uneasy sensation has already made home at the pit of my stomach. Dread, and it only grows deeper the closer I get to her. The relative emptiness of the place doesn't help either. Neither does the harsh wind battering the windows, nor the sheets of rain pelting down the roof. For a fleeting second, I find myself wishing for Scumbag to simply show up. I don't get too far down into that train of thought. Abruptly, the cries stop, replacing it with,
"Mother, please. She's here. She's here, Mother. She's going to take me. She won't leave, Mother. I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away. Mother! Mother, she's here! Help!
That can't be good. Adrenaline overcomes me in a rush. In no two heartbeats, my feet's already moving before any sense can catch up or doubt creeps up to me. My hands ready at the holster as I hastily set off for the far side of the hall. One alarmed footstep after another, while struggling to keep the sense of panic at bay. A door lies ajar at the end, and coming from the floor above,
She's going to hurt me! Help me!
I do not hesitate. Moving in despite the lack of light, the steep stairs, or the thick layer of dust kicking up with me every step. I pause only a moment upon reaching the top. Then, without wasting a second, I push the door open. She sits in the middle of the room, shoulders hunched, shaking. Her hands cover her face as she weeps, oblivious to my presence. It's as if she has heard neither my footsteps nor the soft creaking of the door, continuing, undisturbed, like I'm standing in a time far removed from her. She doesn't even flinch when I call out to her.
Hey, are you alright?
Mother! I've done it, Mother. Take me with you, please. I can still hear her. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
Belatedly, I notice the blood on her hands. If it's the same one drenching the whole attic, I'd rather not know. How the whole room has ended up like this is the least of my problems at the moment. Even the single human body doesn't have this much blood. So, bodies? The thought sends an unpleasant twinge in my stomach. Does Wright even know about this? He's bad news, alright, but this? This is beneath him. He'll definitely balk at the first sight of it. Anyone will. Yet the woman lingers here, unmoved by the sight, letting her sobs fill the room, repeating the words over and over again like a prayer of salvation. To whom? The mess of parchment she has left on the floor? Just what the hell is happening?
Hey, lady, are you?
The rest of that question never makes it out. I don't even see it coming. Should have been more aware and on guard, really. But there's little I can do when a well-placed blow to the back of my knees makes me stumble. The momentum alone sends me reeling forward. It barely even registers in my head that the woman's gone and the room's as normal as it can be. Not above the pain suddenly shooting at my side when I hit the floor. I don't even get the chance to get my bearings back when a hard enough blow to the stomach causes me to buckle down and land heavily on my knees. Gasping, I fumble wildly for my gun. Although before I'm able to turn, level it and shoot, a hand grabs my wrists and twists it. Hard. A gasp. A grunt. The cry of pain slips past my mouth. The gun falls to the floor with a thunk. As soon as it lands, a foot kicks it out of my reach and it slides uselessly under the bed. Agony suddenly explodes in my chin, jerking loose a sharp cry of pain, and stars fill the edges of my vision. A brief moment of regret hits me for leaving my taser with McCullough when a piece of cloth closes around my neck. Without warning, my attacker pulls, tight. I'm left gasping, choking, clawing for air, blindly reaching behind me as I try to fight him off and loosen the pressure on my neck. Except any sort of movement only causes him to pull it taut.
My, so many rats scurrying about in this mansion lately.
Writes Butler. Shit.
Tell me, what did you do with the madam?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Did something happen to Hannah Wright?
Let go, you asshole.
Now, Dummkopf, you're in no position to be rude. Last time I checked, I'm not the one breaking into other people's homes. Now answer my question. What did you do with the madam?
The pain rings and resonates through my head, my already sore body, though I still manage to write it out and spit a mutinous
Fuck you.
Keep that dirty mouth babbling and you're getting a knife in the kidney. I assure you it will be more painful than this.
He really doesn't need to threaten me now. It's all too much to bear at this point. My lungs feel like they're burning with the lack of air. Dark spots begin to fill the edges of my vision. Ever so slowly, the world around me dims. My consciousness rapidly slips away from me, and without meaning to...
Get away from him!
Hearing that voice, it's as if I've been doused with a bucket full of ice. Cold water. Familiar. Too familiar. And more importantly, it shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be hearing it here. She shouldn't be here. Immediately, my eyes snap open. And right there, right on the attic's doorway, stands Isabella, of all people. A rolling pin in one hand and a standard issue police taser in the other. My taser. She must have borrowed it from McCullough. Where else could she have gotten one? I doubt she has ever used one. I doubt she's ever used one, even. Hell, the way she holds it right now, the guy can easily disarm her in one hit. But there's something in her eyes. Although there's a look of fear in them and her hand shakes, she keeps the weapon trained and pointed at scumbag lackey. Untrained or not, she does not plan to leave here without putting up a fight, it seems. Admirable, really, but this is just not something we need right now. I need her to be away from here. I need her to be safe. But the chances of that happening grows slim with every laughter that slips from him.
Oh, this is just getting better and better. The bratwurst won't be pleased with the number of bodies we have to dispose of today, you know. Tell me, how many of you are there? So I can prepare the proper number of bags.
Damn it. What the fuck is going on? Why is she here in the first place? Did she follow after me? Who else came with her? Zach? Rebecca? Are they all here? Panic surges within me, and she knows how bad the situation is, but did she really have to run in here and expose herself like that? Does she even know how to use the taser? For fuck's sake, more than worrying for my life, it's her I'm concerned about. Getting strangled, dying by choking isn't part of the plan, but her following me here isn't either. This is why I prefer to do things alone. This is why I'd rather be the only one to take the consequences. I don't even want to think about what this bastard might do to her after he's done with me. Though my voice comes off nearly a croak, I tried to tell her as much. She has to leave. Stay far away from here and these people.
Don't! Damn it, Isabella! Get out of here!
Another bout of pain erupts at my side, cutting off my words. A cry of agony bursts from my mouth. I can taste blood in my tongue as I heave, attempting to get in as much air despite the towel still coiled around my neck.
Ash?
You're going to lose air quickly that way, Dummkopf. Better keep it shut.
Get out! 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 Val!
Don't be stupid! I'm not leaving you here!
He laughs, too cruel, too unforgiving. The way each note beats against my ears, in spite of the warmth in them, sends chills down my spine. This is a man whose hands have already been stained with blood before. He won't hesitate.
I'd follow his advice if I were you, little girl. What could you possibly do with a toy? Just hand it over and be on your way. It'll probably be too difficult for a little girl like you to use.
There is a moment of silence. Fuck, I can barely keep my eyes open. But in the next second, though, I still don't exactly understand what's happening. Isabella shouts. Not a cry of pain, not a yell of panic, but one that's resolute, firm. Perhaps in a tone that's leagues fiercer than any I've heard from her before.
Try me! Ashton, duck!
I do. More out of instinct and desire to survive, closing my eyes before my mind can fully process what's going on. It all happens in a blur. The telltale sound of a taser being discharged resounds throughout the room. The air crackles. Something whizzes by, almost too close to my ear, followed by a thud of something blunt connecting solidly with another object. Next thing I know, the towel strangling me has started to loosen. I collapse on the floor, dazed and gasping for air. From my peripheral, through the haze of blood rushing and sound slowly filtering back, the butler buckles. He spasms once. Then, without much fuss, falls face first beside me, knocked unconscious by 50,000 volts of electricity and a fucking rolling pin. He'll be out for a while. I have no idea whether I should laugh or cry at that. Somewhere in front of me, my oxygen-deprived brain vaguely registers Isabella's form. She slumps on the floor, also breathing heavily. Right next to her trembling hands, both the taser and the rolling pin lie useless and forgotten, while the mood in the room eases. A long, gradual process of the tension lifting. For countless seconds we remain quiet, with only our short gasps and sighs to fill the silence, allowing the adrenaline ebb away and both our breathing to slow. Not a true repose by any means, but simply a brief respite. There's still the curse. We're still inside the mansion, in immediate danger. Well, we still have no idea how to fix this. Outside, the rain seems to only intensify. Lightning flashes fleetingly somewhere. White and piercing, and the sky rumbles. No rest for the wicked. I stir first, once recovered, having regained some semblance of sense and strength. Breathing still hurts, but it's bearable. As is moving, although every small motion causes a wince. There will be bruising tomorrow, I can manage. Retrieving my gun from under the bed is easy, but only with some effort am I able to drag a unconscious man to the far end of the room, snapping one end of the handcuff on his wrist while fastening the other end to the bed frame. That should keep him restrained for a few hours in case he wakes up prematurely. And through this, Isabella stays quiet. In fact, she hasn't moved since. Her hands still shake, and taking in long draws of breath while she stares vacantly in front of her, almost as if she's in shock. Perhaps she isn't even expecting any results, spurred on by some kind of desperation. Now it's sinking in. Unfortunately, we need to get moving. We don't have time to wait for everything to register in our heads. Kneeling in front of her, I give her a light shake.
Belle, we need to go. We can't stay here.
Slowly she turns, staring at me with wide eyes. Worry flickers briefly in them, along with something ineffable. Then, without warning, she lifts a hand and slaps me across the face. The soundtrack cracks the air, shattering the silence like a fragile glass breaking. Despite the familiar rumble of thunder outside, it manages to ring louder above the storm. I don't even know what hit me until my head has already snapped back and my cheek stings with her anger. And it is anger. In spite of the stillness and the lack of words afterwards, not fuming though, never fuming, but the kind that burns lightly and soundlessly, a frustration instead of a seething rage. One that ebbs just as quickly as it flows, and once the tide subsides, there's only that gleam in her eyes, warm, steadfast, and unflinching. Quietly, I brace myself for the truth underneath that gaze. It slips from her lips softly, nearly fading under the sound of the rain still falling fast, if not for the weight in each of her words.
What is wrong with you?
Belle.
If Zach didn't slip up, no one would have known where you went.
Belle, one person knowing is enough. Any more than that, and...
You almost died! He could have suffocated you right then and there, and you could have died.
I told Zach to give me 4 hours. That would have been enough time to...
It would have been too late! And by the time anyone ever finds out, you're already fertilizer!
She trails off, drags one indrawn breath after another. A brief lull in her frustration finally gives, dissolves into something more pensive and somber. Her shoulders droop, and though her voice rises hoarse and weary, in the next words, there's only certainty.
You count too, you know. When I said, that night when I told you, I don't want to lose anyone anymore, that includes you, alive. We're still here, Ash. You have us.
And once their meaningful fall roar, it does... Wait. And once their meaning fall roar, it does not... What the fuck is this sentence? And once their meaning fall roar, it does so not with force of a dam breaking or a raging storm, but with the gentle, steady warmth of a hearth burning, an ember easing slowly, lightly, rising and giving until all that's left is a truth and understanding. Not alone. Never alone. It lingers, even as we both drift back into silence and her words take root, because in the gratitude that swells after is another warmth blooming. Pleasant, welcoming, like finding home, like finding ourselves in the haze a squall has left, creating something fragile yet immutable in both of us. It's in her eyes, in the way she holds my gaze unwavering. It's the way she carries herself despite sitting amidst a place she fears. In the way she keeps herself from trembling and falling apart, because fear is inconsequential when people she cares about are at risk. A change. She realizes that now, holds on to it. Another little thing, another small thing from her, that may go unnoticed and pass by quietly, but will eventually amount to a lot of things. Tiny gestures that mean nothing at first, but begin to matter to me one day until... Oh. Despite myself, a small smile slips from my lips as the same warmth from earlier unfurls in my chest. Unhurried, familiar, and brought from all these years I've carried it, I have never given the words for it.
Stop smiling like that, Ashton! I'm not done scolding you!
But this time they come easy.
I heard all of it. Don't worry.
Are you really okay? That guy hit you a little too hard on the head. Here, let me...
I reach up just as she extends a hand towards my face, catching her wrist in a light grip, drawing it closer and folding her hand in between mine. Though her expression does shift into mild confusion, she does not pull away like I'm expecting. She simply stares at me, searching. For her to allow a gesture from me that's perhaps too close, it tells a lot how far things have already shifted in the past few years. Cradled in mine, her hand still trembles. Most of the tremors have already subsided by now, though I doubt it'll fade away this soon. As I trace the lines of her palm in what I hope is a comforting gesture.
I'm sorry, Belle.
For what? Is this about what happened tonight? You can apologize later, when...
No, well, this too, but it's not just about this. It's for a lot of things. For calling you clumsy, and careless, and a scatterbrain.
Are you sure this isn't a concussion?
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Well, you don't usually apologize.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that too. For all the times I've teased you and made you cry.
Unexpectedly, her fingers tighten around mine, our hands falling between us as something tender shifts in the air. Another exhale. Another drawn breath eases out of me, filled with every hesitation and uncertainties, but when I finally chose to break silence, it's only when I know that what will slip past my mouth is that one truth I will hold against the word.
But for all those callous words, despite all those, there's nothing I don't love about you. In fact, those things, I love those. And everything. Everything that's you.
For a long moment, she offers no response. Her grip on my hands merely tightens. Although my heart's pounding hard against my ears, I take a chance to look up. Slightly leaning away and giving her a cautious glance, more than ready to hear her rejection. And it is one. It's all in her face, in fact. There's a painted aspect to it I can hardly name. Regardless of what it means to her, or what she intends to convey with it, the sight of it alone makes me regret ever mentioning anything. It's almost as if she's about to have a panic attack. Not that I won't be able to take it, or I'm expecting an answer from her. If anything, I think these past few days have proven how it might never work out between us. Though it's mostly my fault for saying all the wrong things when she doesn't need them. In the end, I just want her to know, that's all. But if nothing will also put a heavier burden on her, I'd rather not have said anything at all. As expected, soon she hastily pulls her hand away from mine, and when she speaks, there's a stark refusal to meet my eyes. Not that I hold it against her. The situation's already awkward as it is.
Ash...
Belle, it's all right. You don't have to...
No, I'm really, really sorry, Ash. I can't do this kind of thing right now. I'm sorry. My family still needs me. My dad just died. And then there's still this curse going on. I'm really sorry. I just don't think of you that way.
Abruptly, she stands up before I can stop her, quickly backing away and putting as much distance between us. She never really makes it past even the door, though. Her foot catches on the rolling pin and she dropped earlier, and soon she's landing on her backside without a shout.
Ow!
Or with a shout.
Are you... okay? Here, let me...
No, I'm fine. It's okay. It's all right. I can stand on my own.
Brushing away the hand I've offered her, she proceeds to pick herself up from the floor, albeit shakily. Still, she refuses to meet my eye, and as soon as she can, removes herself from the attic without another word. I suppose that's to be expected. I suddenly jumped this on her. I bet the last thing she wants to talk about are feelings when there's still danger of dying from a curse. Hell, maybe even forget I said anything. Here's hoping we still have the chance to fix this after we're done with the ghost problem. With a heavy sigh, I follow after her. Power still hasn't come back when we make our way downstairs. Tricky, considering the stairs to the attic are a bit old. One misstep and anyone might end up slipping and falling. You're lucky if that's all that'll happen to you. With the stairs this steep, a broken neck is a likely outcome. Thankfully, Isabella's here to guide me through the darkness. She knows this place better than anyone, after all, in spite of all the misfortunes that has brought to us.
Careful, the floorboards over there aren't very sturdy.
Right on cue, the same board I'm stepping on creaks and suddenly breaks, the pieces falling somewhere with a dull thunk.
Oh, shit. Scumbag wouldn't be too happy about that. Ow, my foot.
See? I told you so. You never listen to me.
They renovated the whole mansion and they can't even replace one tiny part of the house.
Why don't you file a complaint to BRC then? I'm sure they'd be thrilled to hear it. You know it was such a rushed job.
Outside, the winds have intensified. Even from here, I can still hear the gusts battering the window in the attic. It makes you wonder why, up until now, the only person we've encountered from this house is the butler. Although, to some degree, that makes sense. He is in charge of running the place. Where are the other servants, though? In this storm, wouldn't anyone want to stay inside? A likely assumption is they're all asleep. The route I've taken doesn't really pass by the rooms they've likely assigned as the servants' quarters. However, they also have heightened security. I brushed it off earlier, thinking they'll be posted a lot closer to where the master's rooms are, but the second floor is devoid of anyone as well. As if every inhabitant of this place has suddenly disappeared overnight. More importantly, where's that scumbag? I don't like this. I don't like this at all. The fact that we're here right in the fucking middle of it makes me all the more queasy. And that feeling only escalates once we reach the landing and Isabella swings the door open. She pauses abruptly right in the doorway that I almost run into her. A look of confusion is in her as she looks wildly around the place, wordlessly taking in her surroundings. With each turn and shift of her eyes, her shoulder only grows tenser, and a look of apprehension slowly dawns on her.
Isabella, what are you...
We aren't supposed to be here.
Sure enough, when I look up, we're standing right in the kitchen, pots, pans, and all. In one corner, Zach and Rebecca watch us almost as surprised to see us. McCullough's also with them, of course. She didn't listen to me, even if I already exceeded the 15 minutes we agreed on. Although color and strength seem to have already returned to her, enough for her to be able to stand unassisted. The empty plate on the counter appears to have played a part. Good news, I guess. As for the other two, however, relieved as I am that they had the sense to wait and not venture deeper into the mansion, I can't keep but roll my eyes at both of them.
Zach, I said 4 hours.
I know, but Isabella asked and... Come on, bro, you know I ain't a very good liar.
And it didn't even occur to you to stop her?
We all tried, all right? She was out the door before we could say anything.
And how did you guys even get in here?
All three of them exchange a look, one that I absolutely don't like. In the end, it's Isabella who speaks up, albeit with a bit of hesitation.
We heard someone scream, Ash. It led us here.
Without warning, the door behind us slams shut.
We need to get out of here.
Screw right. I need to get these people out of here. Lucky we're in the kitchen and we have two ways out, the back door and the cellar offers. Except the hatch won't budge when I pull at it, and neither does the back door, as if something has locked it firmly on the other side. Zach also gives it a few tries, but even with the big guy's strength, it won't open. There's a long bout of silence in which we all simply look at each other, like sharing the same thoughts. We're trapped. Something or someone has intentionally led us here. Fuck. In that same moment, once realization dawns in, something shifts again. Blood. In every nook and cranny, over every surface, and in every inch of the floor. This time, unlike the first one I've seen, it remains, and gradually, the whole room begins to reek of that familiar metallic scent. Sharp, suffocating. Around us, every object, including the cupboards, have started to rattle as well. The sounds from outside, foreboding rumble of thunder, and even the howling winds have begun to fade away, replaced by whispers, shouts, and cries of pain. Though inaudible, each beat and note bombards every crevice of my head with vague images and sounds. Some of these sentences. There's no time to make sense of everything, however. I'm already shouting, fueled purely by adrenaline, barking orders and making a break for the door that leads to the next room, the dining. It should take us straight into the foyer where the main door is.
Move! Run!
Right in front of us, the mansion has started to change, and we're in the thick of it. However, instead of the dining room, like it's supposed to open to, the bedroom welcomes us instead. An image that lasts only but a second, before blood begins to seep into the room. Filtering into the walls, trickling from every nook and cranny, everywhere, furniture shakes and every beam rattles. Before we can even step back from the horror gradually unfolding in front of us, the door slams shut. A loud thud, bringing a sense of dread and chill creeping up in each of us. Along with it is another realization. The whole place is reordering itself. And with the door closed tight behind us, showing no signs of budging, even through sheer force, there's no choice but to go forward and hope all gods that it'll lead us to an exit. And then, running the only thing we can... And until then, running is the only thing we can do, spurred by nothing but fear and a sense of desperation to live.
It's useless, Ashton Frey.
But with each room we pass, it only becomes apparent that the house has no intention of letting us leave. It lured all of us here, and we've fallen for it. Now it's playing a little game with us, a sordid form of amusement for Hume. Their laughters are the only themes we can hear. With every hall we cross and door we slide open, the hope of finding an exit merely dwindles. The gun at my hip is useless here. I am useless here. Some fucking genius I am. Some fucking person to trust I am. All of those? They mean nothing in the face of the unknown.
You finally figured it out. Huh, Ashton Frey? Just give it up. All of them will eventually die because of you. And you are going to die alone!
Shut your fucking mouth!
You know it's true, though.
All of it.
It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it.
You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to save anyone.
The more gruesome the place turns, the bleaker our chances simply get. Wails and screams fill our ears as we pass by, words from a time and people long gone, laced with nothing but pure agony, calling out, reaching out to us. Their voices almost too real, as if we're not the only ones trapped here, that there are others begging for release from this wretched place. Or maybe it's all just a show, a taste of what we'll eventually be, souls forever held captive in a never-ending nightmare.
Mother, I've done it, Mother. Take me with you, please. I can still hear her. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
Is this what the curse is? What it means for all of us? That the letter, not a morbid cry for help, but an invitation? A beckoning for unsuspecting souls to be dragged into this place's horrors, to be put under centuries and centuries of torment and agony? Suddenly, dying a painful death seems preferable, enticing than ending up here, living a tortured existence. Or perhaps it's all the same. Still, hope worms its way into me, not a usual thing for someone like me. But after going through countless doors and corridors, every little sign of hope I'm willing to cling to, as long as it'll get us out of here. We're back in the dining room again. How long have we been running? How long since we left the kitchen? At some point we lost track of time, with the windows barred tight and the sounds lifting in the air, nothing but shouts and shrieks. It's impossible to tell. Not that it matters when the end is in sight. Shelves and furnishings bar the door, each stained with blood and gore, that if the situation isn't as desperate as it is, I'll find a different way out. But there's still a gap left on the topmost part for a person to go through, as long as you use the shelves to climb.
It's an exit, all right.
From here I can spy the familiar walls of the foyer. Relief, only relief washes over me. Though my legs have been strained taut by all that running, and every bone and muscle in my body ache, there's only an easing. A sense of tension relieving, while energy backflows through me again at the sight of an end. No sooner I'm leading us out of it. Zack helps McCullough first, assisting her up and through the gap, before giving a hand to both Rebecca and Isabella. The moment the ladies are in, I nod for him to go through.
Go ahead. I'll watch your back.
Surprisingly, he does that without any protest. Not that there's any need to. Sometimes after entering this room, the whole place has calmed down. No wails, no whispers, just a silence too deafening. But I'm not letting my guard down until everyone's on the other side of this nightmare safe. For all I know, this may just be the calm before another storm. Without further incident, however, Zack makes it to the other side, and I'm following after him. However odd this hush is, I turn my back from it and climb up. It's a tight fit, but I manage to squeeze myself in. The unease remains, though. Maybe it's the adrenaline still coursing through me, or how easy everything has been after living through that nightmare, fleeting as it is. But for some reason, something's still nagging at me. Call it a detective's instinct or my training or whatnot. I have a feeling something's going to happen and catch us unprepared. Unconsciously, before dropping down on the better side of this dream, my hand shifts to the gun at my hip. Instinct has never failed me before. My feet haven't even landed firmly on the floor when...
Had I known there would be a party in my own home tonight, I would have opened a bloody bottle or two. People these days, in my own home, can you believe it? I feel so left out.
A chill seeps into every vein in my body. All of a sudden, every ache, every pain returns to me tenfold, and my knees threaten to buckle at the sound of his voice. Though it appears friendly, I know it is anything but. One does not spend investigating a man like him for over a year and holding a grudge against him for more, without knowing everything about him. his quirks, his habits. I'm familiar with all of them. And right now, Luke fucking Wright is beyond pissed. Shifting my gaze upwards is nearly too painful, knowing the danger. Not to me, but to those who have been lured in here by the curse. The handgun catches my eye first, next to the smarmy smile on his face while he holds McCullough, Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella at gunpoint. It's sight enough to lodge a painful thorn up my throat. I've been too complacent, too focused on other things that I've completely set aside the fact that Scumbag will not be too pleased to see us here without knowing our reasons. But even with those good intentions, curses, and ghostly apparitions aside, we're still trespassing in his home. The question is he even aware that the whole of his household has somehow disappeared and he might be the only one here? Likely not. Fuck. Even with people he knows among the crowd, there's a significant effort in him not to simply shoot everyone in sight.
And really, Daisy, even you, what would Kylie say?
Luke, this isn't what you're thinking. You have to listen to us. There's something going on here.
Well, obviously, why else would people be trespassing in my home? What about little Lily over there, then? What's your excuse? Checking back if your clients are doing okay? Is that it? Is this what this is?
We're doing good, by the way.
Sir, please.
Oh, please, what?
Becca's right, sir. We need to get out of this place. You need to leave.
Not a good enough excuse, darling. You people are the ones who need to get out of my sight. Don't worry, I might consider pressing lighter charges for the woman. Can't say the same for the rest of you. But really now, I swear the people of this city need to be taught the meaning of privacy. This is how you want to start the week. Why don't we just go with a bloody massacre if we want to surprise people in their homes, huh?
Casually, he waves the handgun at them as if it's just a mere toy, and his words are no threat. The safety's off on his, nothing stopping him from pushing through with his words. Call me paranoid, but at the slight gesture, I draw my own and level at him, finger on the trigger and ready to release the safety catch in case things go south. He's quick to train his own on me, though, and just like that, we're at a standstill.
Now, Feathers. Manners. You're in no position to be pointing that gun at people.
Why don't you put yours down first, and then we'll talk about manners.
Oh, he talks back. The gall! You know, your kind pisses me off so much.
Shooting him right now would be so worth it, but with the way he stares at me like I'm a damn pest, but this isn't what I've come here for. I'm not a murderer. As much as I loathe him, I'm not the kind who will kill people in cold blood for my own gain or amusement. The law will bring him what he deserves one of these days. At the moment, however, we're all in the same boat with this curse, and he needs to understand that. The longer we stand here, the more time we're wasting and losing, something we don't have much of. But how can I convince him? This scum is so full of himself, prefers to hear the sound of his own voice more than those of the people around him, no matter how much sense they make. Probably only his way, and probably only way I can make him listen is if I beg. No way in hell that's happening. I don't know. I guess we're gonna disarm him. Sort of makes sense.
Sorry about this. I really don't have time for you.
I don't think twice. Within the span of a heartbeat, I'm moving and pulling the trigger. 2 shots in quick succession echo across the whole foyer, and both hit their mark true. Wright recoils with a sharp cry of pain. His pistol falls useless to the floor with a loud clank, followed by drops of blood from his bleeding wrist.
Why, you insolent!
He's down in 2 successive steps while I tackle him on the floor, pinning him hard with my arm. But before I can knock him out with a solid right hook, an agonized wail bursts through the tense air, loud enough to echo along the dark, empty halls of the mansion. Piercing enough for every occupant in the foyer to cover their ears and close their eyes. And then all at once, there are images. However, there's no time to make sense of it all. Amidst the discord and the noise, something whizzes past by, too close, too swift. A brief, keen blur that barely registers in my eyes, like an arrow quickly finding its mark and heading straight for...
Zach!
Time slows to a stop. In one moment of clarity, my body moves on its own. heart pounding hard against my ears, blood rushing through every vein, spurred only by adrenaline in a desperate bid to reach him, and I don't even get to yell for him a second time. I don't even get to call his name.
Ash!
An acute pain bursts through my chest in the next instant. All of a sudden, everything around me feels too sharp. Every edge, every point. Even the act of drawing a deep breath alone stings and burns my lungs, while an intense ache slowly spreads throughout my whole body. Numb. I feel numb. A hand comes away, bleeding, shaking, while I can only get out a wet, ragged laugh. Soon, without warning, I'm going down to my knees, and the whole world is pitching sideways. An arm, strong and steady, is on me the second I stumble back, catching my fall. Zack has always been there, after all. Even now, nothing has changed.
Ashton?
His hands are shaking as he looks at me with dread. A pang of regret hits me at the sight of it.
Sorry, Z-Man.
Hey, bro. Stop talking, will you? This isn't...
It seems this will be the last time anyone will call you that.
There won't be anyone else to cause you any more... There won't be anyone else to cause you trouble anymore.
Bro, this ain't the time to be. Just stop it with the jokes!
Cautiously, despite the stabbing aches shooting up at every moment, I reach a trembling hand up to bump a fist against his chest, just like the old times. My arm never makes it far, however. Midway, he meets my hand, catching it in a tight grip, as if to hold on to a life slowly slipping away. Not that he will be able to. The pain is easing. Everything is already getting cold.
Don't worry, bro. We'll get you to a hospital. Just don't move, okay? You're gonna make it worse. You'll be fine. You can call me. Man, you can call me Z-Man all you like. After you're fine. We'll get you help.
I'd like to agree with him on that. Reassure him. I've gone through a lot. Survived a lot of shit. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that I'm done for. Whatever hit me, a hole in the chest is fatal enough. I don't think I'm going to bounce back from this. I'm dying.
I'm sorry.
I should be afraid in this moment, yet I'm not. No fear, no dread, just an acceptance. And with deep regret as she appears before us, her voice echoing through the foyer. At the top of the staircase, Anna Wright stands there, pale as death and expression eerily calm. I can't help to think that there's something wrong. My gaze darts around, wary of her, but soon enough I realize what's wrong when she speaks. She's wrong.
I told you, didn't I? Everything you're doing is useless, Ashton Frey. And now, you're dying. Meddlesome fool.
Hannah?
Oh, Luke, darling, my love. What do you think you're doing out here this late?
Outside, another streak of lightning flashes and a clap of thunder ripples across the sky. Here, there's only a whispered sigh, a fading breath, and a lone heart that beats hard one last time. She got one thing wrong, though. I did not die alone. You've unlocked a memory fragment. Oh, are we back to Luke again? What? Another long and exhausting day at work, and I still have much to do. Sometimes I wonder why I still bother. I can surely afford to retire, leave the business to trusted colleagues. Even if they make enough to only break even, I have enough money to last us a lifetime or 3. I could send 7 children to college if I had any, not that I plan to. But the problem is obvious, isn't it? I don't trust any of the lot. It has to be me because they might get it wrong. I don't want to retire and suddenly wake up one day only to find that everything has gone down the shitter. Maybe I should hire McCullough as a personal assistant. She seems capable and trustworthy enough. It's hard to find someone who isn't trying to butter me up and trying to curry favor with me.
Christ, I'm knackered. Who do I have to kill to have fewer problems around here?
I'm not really allowed to complain. I chose this path, but that doesn't stop me from doing so as I throw my shoes off and let them land wherever they please. Petty, maybe, but there's a certain joy that comes with stepping on the carpeted staircase with nothing but my socks on. I accept no distractions. I can call up Shawkin for a sandwich, but that's probably it. I've got a suitcase filled with contracts to check over and sign before I can retire for the night. I'm also waiting for a call from Suarez for any new updates regarding the IT leaks, a real cause for concern. It's the reason there have been investigations on me. Had it been a new thing, I would have let it run its course. But it's been going on for far too long, nearly 3 years, for me to just take on a passive role in the affair. I've only kept my head this far because I've managed to mitigate most of the damage with several favors, and some grand puppeteer to ensure the high-profile law enforcement and government officials keep me out of trouble. But who knows how long it can stay that way? Powers are shifting, and the current can be unpredictable. This whole exit business is already shaking things up and upsetting the balance. It's only with great care that I stay where I am, but the smallest of efforts can unravel all that I've done. It certainly won't help if I'm being accused of things, whether I'm guilty of them or not, because some computer chump thinks he can play a game with me. And, well, shit, it'll be a miracle if I can get to sleep tonight, though that is hardly surprising news. But before I can even take a step into the study, a voice from the bedroom calls out to me.
Luke, darling, you're finally home. Why don't you be a dear and come in here?
And I hesitate for a moment. I do have work to be done, but I suppose greeting my wife as I get home is only proper. I've already been gone for most of the week unless I needed to be here for work on the house. So, with a sigh, I head towards the bedroom. The feeling that came to me as I entered the room are definitely mixed. For one, I am somewhat floored by the sight that greets me. Then there is confusion. Exasperation is strangely there as well. And as to be expected, there is desire. She is a divine goddess, or rather, she is a horrible temptress. What man wouldn't be attracted by that? I guess they could be a sausage jockey. But that is beside the point and is not relevant to the situation I find myself in right now. This is nice and all, but why does she have to go and do this now of all nights?
My love, the bed is awfully cold without you.
The matter of the fact is, I've never seen Hannah all primped up like this since our first year of marriage. It must be something special to bring out such an act. Our wedding anniversary has already passed, so that can't be it. Hannah's birthday is in April and mine is in August, so it can't be any of those either. So what bloody blazes brought this on? Is Hannah drunk?
Why don't you just, take a rest? I'll be busy all night.
Is that answer too cold? I don't mean it to be. She certainly doesn't look amused.
Come on over and stop being a boring old man. Work can wait.
Maybe I can entertain her just for a while. It's a tempting idea. But no, I'll never get any work done that way. And imagine how horrible it would be to get a call from Suarez in the middle of a shag. That would certainly kill the mood and piss me off more than anything. It'll be even worse if Kylie steals the phone from him, and the little ankle biter is prone to do unless her father is locked in a room. Just thinking about the possibility is weird and turns me off from even trying anything.
I'm afraid it can't, Buttercup. But, hey, it's Sunday tomorrow. We can go out for dinner right after. Somewhere nice like that Italian restaurant you wanted to try out?
Why don't we skip dinner tomorrow and eat out tonight?
Whoa there, why don't we slow down? Looks like someone is in the mood, but hey, there's a time and place for everything.
I grew up in a house where sex was a constant thing. It was just a thing that the body does, more or less. Sometimes it comes with social implications, supposedly, with paper-thin walls, and her mother, with that horrid job of hers, made me think that way. I learned later on that isn't the case for everybody. Suffice to say, this is really odd, for her at least. I'm quite sure she never grew up in a sexually promiscuous home like I did. She grew up with a well-to-do, normal, and decent family. And in the 7 years we've been married, she's never acted this aggressive about sex. We do it when the mood comes to that, but never like this. And when I'm in the mood and she isn't, that's about the time I go around town to have my back scratched. I've got nothing to be guilty of, I believe, as long as it's just lust and not love. That's a good way to explain it, I guess. I'm just really confused and trying to come to grips with the reality as it is presented to me.
Well, this is the place, but now is not a good time, darling. Like I said, I have plenty of important work to be done. Any other night, this would be great. Excellent, splendid. But not right now, okay?
I suppose if that's what you want. I can have my prince another time.
A chill runs up my spine as she calls me that again. My prince. Is she going through some midlife crisis? I know she's not the sort to play pretend with that sort of thing. Now that I think about it, this is probably some dream. Perhaps I've been exposed to something. Jesus, I've gone and fucked my own brain over. That can be the only explanation. Or at least the only explanation my mind wants to accept right now. But if it were true, I should probably accept her offer, no? On the off chance it isn't, I shouldn't. Either choice fucks someone over. Quite literally at that.
Yes, that's right. Another time. So if you could put your dress back on... It's really chilly right now, isn't it? You don't want to catch a cold if we're going out tomorrow.
thankfully, she's done as she's told, which puts this strange episode into an abrupt end. Unfortunately, she has to put her dress back on so painfully and seductively slow. I suspect she knows the thing she does to me. As much as I'd like to have the engine running, there are things to be done and to make sure we can keep on enjoying a glamorous life as we do now.
I'm starting to think you don't find me beautiful anymore.
Is that what brought this on, then? You are an angel. A goddess, Hana. Of all the flowers in this garden, you are by far the most beautiful and rarest of them all. Every bloke would want to be with you, and every lady would want to be you. I'm sure it goes the other way around, too. I'm lucky to have you, and I don't know how you put up with the likes of me. I'm really sorry, darling, but it really isn't a good time.
It does hurt me to see her upset because of something I've done or said. It always does. One can't always get his or her way, though. At least society would like to believe in order to soften the blow of disappointment. And I'll have her take that side on, and I'll have to take their side on that just this once. Pulling her in for a hug and a peck on the cheek, I'm quick to pull away before I change my mind and make it more than that. At least I can at least give her those.
Chin up and smile. You'll get wrinkles frowning like that. And beauty sleep helps.
Of course, my prince. I suppose I can do with the sleep.
A smile that lights up on her face is enough to make me forget about the oddity that had just transpired. I still don't understand this whole prince thing, though I'll let it slide for now. Seeing her with her golden locks and that silver dress, it almost makes her queenly. With due respect to her majesty, of course. Despite that, there's just something off.
Hana, before I go, what happened to your necklace? The blue diamond?
The fact that she seems confused feels off.
Whatever do you mean?
Alright, why don't we stop it there?
Oh, that old thing. It's somewhere in the vanity drawer, I think.
This is audap. You've been watching The Letter, running on Series X. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.